EPA meteorologist Bobby Martich with your outlook for January 21st, 2019. For your Monday, you're going to have very, very cold conditions this morning, and it is going to be windy today with wind gusts that are going to be generally up to 35 miles per hour in the lower elevations, but you could see some 40-mile-per-hour gusts up in the higher elevations of the southern Poconos, and that's because of the pressure gradient that is still in place. You can see that right here. The National Weather Service did have wind advisories for this. They have discontinued for some of those areas in the overnight hours, but we're looking at a tight gradient this morning. I think it's mainly just this morning. We start to slacken off a little bit as we go through the day, and as the pressure gradient releases, you can see that as we go to the afternoon, it's that their isobars are further apart here, as that system that affected us over the weekend continues to move further away, and so we'll have wind gusts that will be most prominent this morning. And mostly sunny skies. Of course, very cold conditions this morning. There are many areas in the single digits or even below zero. So that will lead to this morning. This is looking at 6 a.m. and you have some minus 20 or below wind chills that are in the interior. You see these purples up here? These are all below minus 20. You got a minus 20 here in Allentown. You got a mid-teens below zero all the way down to Philadelphia. So this is going to be very brutally cold as you're leaving this morning for work, or you're going to for those the kids that still have school. And this is actually looking at 7 o'clock in the morning, pretty much the same thing. As we go through the course of the morning, though, we're going to go back down in wind chill temperatures. The temperatures are going to go up a little bit, but we're only going to get up into the teens today for highs as far as air temperature is concerned. But the real field temperature, or whatever you want to call it, as far as wind chill is concerned, will be still 10 to 15, maybe even 20 degrees below zero in some spots. So a very cold day today. Not the best day to be outside, absolutely, because it's going to be very cold today. But this is not going to be lasting too long. The winds are going to diminish again, like I said, in the afternoon. And we get the overnight hours are really going to start slacking off, especially as we get past the evening hours. I think once we get past the evening, we're in the clear as far as the winds are concerned. But still a very cold night overnight tonight, with temperatures in many locations getting down to the single digits once again, and maybe some below zero readings again over the far northern areas. So Tuesday's going to be mostly sunny. It's going to be moderating, and I put that word moderating in quotes because it's really not going to be warm, and temperatures are going to be moderating from the teens today to the mid to upper 20s on Tuesday. So still very cold, but not nearly as cold as it's going to be today. And then we're going to have a little bit of a warm-up as this high pressure moves offshore, and we have a cold front moving toward the region. So you're going to get a little bit of a southwesterly flow here on Wednesday, moving out ahead of this as this high pressure continues to move offshore, and the cold front is back here advancing toward the region. So you get a southwesterly wind out ahead of this, and you're going to get a little bit of a warm-up, and temperatures back in the 40s for Wednesday ahead of the system. But before it does that, there will still be enough cold air, we think, at the surface that you could have some mixing issues coming in here, mainly for northeast PA, but just a brief mix, it looks like, on Wednesday morning going over to just plain rain showers. And again, as it warms up, you're going to get sufficiently warm enough across the entire region that we'll just see some showers. Now, this is just along a cold front. This is not a big deal. So not a lot of rain with this, but this is just showers we're looking at. But the GFS has been very consistent, very, very consistent, showing this area low pressure formula on this boundary, but has been very progressive with the front, meaning it's not taking its time moving through like the European model and others have. If you remember this, the model that handled this system the best this weekend, and from a very early point in time, it was the GFS. So I'm not going to dismiss any opportunity here for the GFS to be right again, even though everybody was thinking that it may have some bugs in it, and it's not able to be fixed because the government shut down. That proved itself wrong. That theory proved itself to be wrong this weekend with a pretty good forecast from the GFS. It had only had minor changes, but pretty much had the same idea of that warm air advection come in over the weekend that turned everything over to rain. So here's a look at late overnight Wednesday night. The interior actually is changing over to snow, and the reason it's happening, again, the front is very progressive and continuing to move off to the south and east, and is not being held up because that high pressure that is being shown to be off to the east is continuing to move east. So it allows the front to be progressive. It's not held up, and therefore you have maybe some flakes for the interior here, or maybe some minor coatings to an inch type thing on the back end as this area low pressure moving along the boundary continues to move off to the north and east, but it might have some backlash here where you get some snow here. I wouldn't be surprised to see this here on Thursday morning whatsoever, especially since the GFS has been very consistent with this, but it's not a big deal. But it just means that our warm-up is going to be limited to 1 day, and then the temperatures are going to crash down here on Wednesday, or Thursday, I mean. You have highs that are going to occur probably a little after midnight or thereabout, and they're going to start crashing after that point, and you can get some snow here on the back end, but very little snow we're talking about as that moves through. And then after that, we go to Friday, partly to mostly cloudy skies, we're going to call it here. We have another frontal boundary trying to move through here with just some light snow showers. Again, not a big deal, but maybe some areas get a coating to 1 inch or so out of this as well. And this is during the day on Friday. And then once we go forward from this point, Saturday is the partly cloudy day, and we have another clipper system coming through. You're going to have a parade of clippers coming through here in this pattern, it looks like. And it's like every 2 or maybe 3 days that you get something different. And here is Sunday with another one coming through and more coating to 1 inch or 2 type stuff. We're going to have to watch this one here because the upper level pattern is still conducive for something maybe popping down here closer to the coast and bring you more of an accumulating snowfall here in these regions. We'll have to watch for that. It's not being shown currently in the latest run of the GFS, but there were some previous runs and some ensemble members indicating that. So we're going to keep a close eye on that as well, but it does look like we have an active pattern here, at least with the clippers, that like every other day or every third day you're getting at least a threat for some minor snow. So we'll keep a close eye on that this week. It doesn't look like a whole big deal this week as far as any real big systems that we're dealing with, but it only takes one of these decides to get a little bit more energized as it moves through, and you can have a coating to 1 inch or so could turn into a high ratio 2 to 4, maybe even more than that if this system decides to ramp up any bit. So any of these we call that a clipper on steroids, so to speak. Every once in a while you can get one of those that really ramp up and give you a high ratio of snowfall that can overperform. So we'll keep a close eye on these this week. Right now it's not shown to do that, but you never know. And with these this kind of pattern that we're heading into, at least we're going to get into a colder pattern, a sustainable colder pattern for the foreseeable future. And that looks like it goes right into February, and we're still going to have some shots at snow at least going forward. I'm EPA WA meteorologist Bobby Marchers. That is your outlook for January 21st, 2019. Have a great Monday.